Yeah, and I view our work together really as a big project of self-awareness. I think you, from what I've seen, I think you perhaps you can speak for yourself. You've learned a lot about yourself. I think it sounds like there are many things you've tried and you realize that they're not for you. And I've learned that for myself as well. Like I think a big thing. I mean, for like if you look at those episodes, there was a period of time where I was just full stop. Like I was done because I couldn't find the logical reason to do anything. But the beautiful thing is I don't need it. I don't need it. And to connect that, like if I don't need the logical reason, then what to do? Well, what sounds exciting is just maximizing whatever I'm doing. It should, like you said, you don't want it to be one big playground. I love it being one big playground. And this podcast is just another thing to explore and play, find all the knobs, turn them all up. And then I just know that the knobs I find here will connect to anything else I do anyways. So.
Yeah. So it's not so much learning about myself. What I realized actually what it is I feel enabled. I feel like I wasn't allowed, or I had a word in my head a moment ago and I forgot what it was, but basic permission. Mm-hmm. It's like, I just feel like recently I've given myself permission to do what's right for me. Even though I've put myself in a really horrible position doing so thus far, but that's the whole point. It's like, for some reason, sometimes I would just go like just completely all in on something like you would in a card game, with the risk being my life. But it's like, I think it's better than living a life of like just feeling like I don't have permission to be myself. So it's not, again, I really would love to say I've learned so much about myself now. There are certain things that we've dug into that I'm like, oh, that's why I do that. That's why. So if anything, I've found answers to whys, a lot of whys that I didn't really even care to look into. So I will give credit to that. But it really, what's more important to me further than that, because that's just a matter of did I spend time looking into these things, is this feeling that I've now given myself permission to be myself. So to me, that is far superior to anything you've mentioned previously. And I feel like you've done something similar in a similar vein with the things you've went full force into recently.
Absolutely. And I would label all of that as self-awareness. Self-awareness is not just knowledge and words, but it could also just be like understanding a certain state of mind, understanding a certain state. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I want to use the words. I'm not disagreeing with the word self-awareness. I just feel like I want to describe things in my own words. It's just there's Derek, Derek that lives really far deep inside, that's been screaming and yelling for years, like, let me out. This sounds like I'm in a weird therapy session. No, but seriously, it's like I constantly say, no, it's more important. Money's more important. A home is more important. This, that, and the other thing are more important. So I prioritized the things that people typically prioritize over what I truly wanted. But what's more fascinating to me is if I would have just listened to myself 20 years ago, I wouldn't even be here. I'm sorry. I would not be a part of this podcast. I'd be on my yacht or in my really tall, high building that I own in New York, like next to Trump Tower or something. I don't know. But hey, coulda, woulda, shoulda, or what is it like? Looking backward is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. I guess all I'm really saying is I'm just like, I've had enough. I've had enough. And either this works or it doesn't. Because it's not worth living, as morbid as that sounds, it's not worth living another person's life, because that's all I was doing. Yeah. Is that self-awareness? Don't know.
Well, I'm sure there's like a more powerful word you can use to describe that. Mm-hmm. Something spiritual almost. I will say that I find it fascinating that from one point of view, what you just described would sound to a very practically minded person, like somewhat suicidal or something. But I personally believe that that voice inside knows better like what your life is than some practically minded voice somewhere else. Like, because I understand like every part of me just wants to not do that, even though it'll like keep me alive. I don't know. I believe, after seeing what we've gone through personally, I believe that that voice knows.
Mhm.
Like, if I pursue energy, like, from an outside perspective, it looks like it has no connection to whatever I'm going for. But what I've seen is it has every connection. And it also will bring me that soul food that just powers everything else up.
Yeah, I mean it's a rough road. I'm not going to claim it's all rainbows and unicorns. The choice that I've made recently and last year and even a year before that, there's a lot of just sort of pivots that I did, and just trying to figure out what is the right direction. And I just kept listening for the voice, not schizophrenic, telling me, just try. Like, sometimes it's just, I don't know. I want to know what would happen if I do that. And that's a little bit weird. That doesn't usually turn out well for me. But I don't know, it's just sometimes it takes that, and then it's just like I'm waiting for that gut instinct to sort of kick in. But instead of ignoring it this time, though, I'm just going with it. And my instincts tell me that, again, the things we're doing together, the things that I've done in the past, I don't know how many months it's been, since like August, since I came back to Korea, really is my point, even before we met. I came here with, I told you, like when we met, I was already on a mission. I was in the 3rd or 4th day of a 5-day just binge of like doing this, that, and the other thing, because I just really wanted to immerse myself in every single facet of everything I know, and then branch out from there. Because I only know what I know, and I'm not a big fan of going into the unknown. So I have to start somewhere, and that's where I started, and then I branched out from there. So stepping stones, or one step at a time, in a sort of safe fashion. And then at some point I was just like, even this isn't really working. So let's just go all in on what feels the most important. I was going to use a fancy word. It doesn't matter. Important. It was just a word that was there. I couldn't find it. Yeah. Anyway, that's just what I am.